Picture two track saws side by side. On the left, a DeWalt, solid tool, $450, used by professionals everywhere. On the right, a Festool TS55, $600, 30% more expensive, and the professionals who buy it refuse to go back to anything else. Festool Domino, DF500, $1,100, the joiner that created a cult. DeWalt equivalent, $200, the biscuit joiner it replaced. Festool market position, no Home Depot, no Amazon shelf, no price competition. Festool does not compete on price, it never has. It competes on something that takes longer to explain, and that professionals, once they understand it, refuse to give up. The company was founded in 1925 by a craftsman with one question: what if the tool came to the wood, instead of the wood going to the tool? 100 years later, that question is still the only one Festool answers. You would assume that a tool costing 3 times the competition exists because of superior marketing or brand prestige, or the kind of status signal that makes professionals buy expensive gear to feel professional. Festool spends almost nothing on consumer marketing. It does not sponsor NASCAR. It does not run Super Bowl ads. It does not pay influencers to hold tools next to sports cars. The cult around Festool, and it is a cult, is manufactured entirely by the product, by what the tool does that nothing else can do, and by one decision made in 1966 that every other power tool company has spent 60 years trying to avoid. By the end of this video, I'll show you the specific health data that Festool built its entire philosophy around in 1966, data that every other tool manufacturer knows and has chosen not to act on. Subscribe now before we get there, because that data changes how you read every tool purchase you have ever made. Picture Germany in 1924. A kilo of bread costs 200 billion marks. Banknotes worth 100 trillion marks are used for everyday transactions. Numbers so large they have stopped meaning anything. The economy is collapsing. Nobody with a sensible reason would start a company. 2 men start one anyway. Gottlieb Stoll and Albert Fesser opened a small repair shop for woodworking machines in Esslingen am Neckar in 1925. They did not build anything. They fixed other people's equipment, broken lathes, damaged saws, worn bearings. But every machine they repaired taught them something. Where it failed, which components wore out first, what could be designed differently if someone started from a blank page instead of patching what already existed. Stoll asked a question nobody in the woodworking industry had framed as a design problem. Every machine in every workshop was bolted to the floor. The craftsman carried heavy timber across the room to the stationary blade. The wood traveled to the tool. What if it worked the other way? What if the tool came to the wood? In 1927, 2 years after opening the repair shop, in the middle of an economic depression, Stoll and Fesser manufactured the world's first portable chainsaw. Before this tool, felling a tree required 2 men and a massive stationary machine. After, 1 operator, 1 saw, 1 trip to the forest. The founding principle had become a product for the first time. In 1930, the first portable circular saw for carpenters. In 1933, the company name shortened to Festo. Every product followed the same logic. Take something that was stationary and make it mobile. Take something that required 2 people and build it for 1. Here is the specific detail that makes Festool's origin different from a standard tool company story. 30 kilometers from Esslingen, at exactly the same moment, Andreas Stihl was arriving at the identical principle independently. But for forestry rather than carpentry, the saw must go to the tree, not the tree to the saw. 2 men in adjacent towns, working in different industries, asking the same question simultaneously. Neither knew about the other. The principle was not a clever invention. It was an obvious truth that the entire industry had failed to act on. Picture a Festool Systainer, the modular stackable case that every Festool tool ships inside. It clicks onto the case below it. It clicks onto the case above it. The carpenter's van becomes organized. The job site floor becomes a workstation. Every tool in its case, every accessory in its slot, every cable coiled and secured. Open it on a construction site and find every component exactly where you left it. Milwaukee sells a drill. The case is an afterthought. The dust collection is someone else's product. The accessories come from third parties. The system is assembled by the buyer from incompatible components made by companies that have never spoken to each other. Festool designs the tool, the dust extraction, the accessories, the guide rails, the Systainer, the hoses, the adapters, and the consumables as a single integrated system. Every interface engineered by the same company. Nothing is an afterthought. Everything supports everything else. That integration is why Festool costs more at the point of sale, and why the 5-year cost of ownership is closer to competitors than the sticker price suggests. In 2005, Festool introduced the Domino Joiner. The strongest joint in woodworking is the mortise and tenon. It is also the most time-consuming, an hour per joint by hand. A cabinet with 20 joints requires days of layout and fitting. Domino DF 500, approximately $1,100 retail. Traditional biscuit joiner, approximately $100 to $200. Time per joint with Domino, seconds. Time per joint by hand, 1 hour. The Domino cuts a mortise in seconds. A pre-manufactured loose tenon drops in. The joint is stronger than a biscuit joint, faster than hand cut, repeatable to sub-millimeter precision across hundreds of joints. Woodworkers who buy a Domino do not return to any other joining method. They post photographs of their joints. They organize entire workshops around the Festool system. They debate extraction hose diameters with the fervor other communities reserve for sports teams. This is a cult. It is not manufactured by marketing. It is manufactured by the product doing something nothing else can do. Type system if you think the integrated ecosystem is what justifies Festool's price. Or type precision if you think it's purely the engineering quality of the tools themselves. I read every answer. In 1966, a Festool salesman named Carl Ettinger was given a new product to sell, a sander with integrated dust extraction. Nobody wanted it. His boss ended the conversation with 5 words. Those 5 words became Festool's philosophy for the next 60 years. And the health data behind those words is something every tool manufacturer knows, and most have chosen not to act on. Right after this. Welcome back. Picture 1966. Carl Ettinger is a Festool salesman. He has a new product, an orbital sander with an integrated dust extraction port. He goes from shop to shop demonstrating it. Nobody wants it. Dust collection adds cost. Customers don't want to pay for something they don't need. Dust is what happens when you sand. You breathe it in. You sweep it up. That is how it has always been done. Ettinger reports back to the factory. The product is a hard sell. Gottlieb Stoll ends the discussion with a single directive. Carl, put your things in the car. For every customer who orders a sander with a suction cup, you will get 15 Deutschmarks. 1 week later, Ettinger had 20 signatures. Here is exactly what Stoll understood that the rest of the industry did not. Wood dust is a Group 1 carcinogen, classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. The same classification as asbestos. The same classification as benzene. The same classification as tobacco smoke. Prolonged exposure causes adenocarcinoma of the nasal cavity and paranasal sinuses. It causes asthma. It causes chronic bronchitis. It causes permanent, irreversible respiratory damage. A paper dust mask filters large particles. It does not filter fine dust below 10 microns. Fine dust is the dust that reaches the deepest parts of the lungs. Fine dust is the dust that causes the most damage. The mask is a gesture, not a solution. The health data has been clear since the 1960s. The woodworking industry's response for 60 years has been to sell dust masks and pretend the problem is solved. Festool's response in 1966 was different. Gottlieb Stoll made a decision that was not regulatory, not forced by liability, not demanded by customers. He decided that a tool that damages the operator is a tool that has failed at its most basic purpose. A sander that produces dust, the operator breathes, is not a finished product. It is half a product. The other half is the system that removes the dust before it reaches the operator's lungs. From that day forward, practically no handheld machine has been produced at Festool without a dust extraction connection. Not as an accessory, as a standard feature, as the default, as the only option. Here is the inversion that defines the difference between Festool and every other tool manufacturer. Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita, Bosch, they all sell tools where dust collection is an afterthought, an accessory, someone else's problem, a third-party vacuum with a generic hose adapter that fits poorly and clogs frequently. They know the health data. They have known it for 60 years. The decision not to integrate extraction is not ignorance. It is a cost calculation. Festool made a different calculation. The cost of dust is borne by the operator's lungs. That cost is not visible on a price tag, but it is real and it is permanent. Type KNEW if you already knew wood dust was a Group 1 carcinogen, or type new if this is the first time you heard that. One word, the same philosophy that drove the 1966 dust extraction decision drives every acquisition Festool has made since. SawStop, a table saw invented by a patent attorney and amateur woodworker that stops a spinning blade in 5 milliseconds upon contact with human skin. The blade detects the electrical conductivity of flesh. It fires an aluminum brake into the spinning teeth. A finger that would have been amputated by any other table saw receives a scratch. Steve Gass tried to license the technology to every major table saw manufacturer in America. Every one of them refused. The liability calculations said it was cheaper to let operators lose fingers than to add the safety system. Festool's parent company bought the entire company. In 2024, Festool launched the ExoActive, a wearable exoskeleton that supports the weight of a carpenter's arms during overhead work. A carpenter installing ceiling panels holds his arms above his head for hours. By the 6th hour, the quality of work degrades because the body is exhausted. The ExoActive redistributes the load mechanically. The fatigue drops. The quality at the end of the day matches the quality at the beginning. The company that started by making the tool go to the wood is now making the tool go easier on the body that carries it. Every power tool company in the world competes on price, on volume, on shelf space. Festool competes on a question that has not changed in 100 years. What is a tool actually for? Not to cut wood as cheaply as possible, to cut wood as precisely as possible, for as long as possible, without damaging the person doing the cutting. The price is the filter. The system is the commitment. The dust extraction is the philosophy. It removes any manufacturer willing to treat the operator's health as someone else's problem. The cheapest tool is never the one with the lowest price tag. It is the one that works the longest, damages the operator the least, and never forces a job to be done twice. Subscribe. Next on this channel, Digital Equipment Corporation, the company that beat IBM, invented the mini-computer, created the search engine before Google existed, and then disappeared. Subscribe, hit the bell. Gottlieb Stoll opened a repair shop in 1925 with no sensible reason to start a company. His wife built the culture. His daughter inherited the shares. His granddaughter chairs the board. The portable chainsaw took a stationary task and made it mobile. The guide rail took an imprecise process and made it exact. The dust extraction took a cost that was borne by the operator's lungs and transferred it to the tool's engineering. Different decades, different products. One question running through all of them: what if the tool came to the wood? 100 years later, it still does.